Welcome to the Create with Katrina Julia show by Fit Life Creation, where we talk all the things on wellness, faith, marketing, business, and travel to create a life and business you love. I've been there, friend. I've walked from fear to faith, self-hate to love, corporate to calling, and bondage to freedom, along with transformation in every area of my life. I'm right here with you, walking along on my own path to creating. So tune in so that you learn how to create a life and business you love, hands-on. Let's create it. Welcome to what I am learning from my phrase of the year for 2023. If you haven't tuned in to my episode on the phrase for the year, I highly encourage you to listen after this one. But the phrase, just so you know, is I am divinely disciplined. And in that prior episode, I give lots of insight and reflections from past years and how words and our phrases, aka intentions for the year, have radically transformed each year since I started that practice. So let's get into some insights on I am divinely disciplined and what I am finding already by February 5th of this year, with starting the year with that phrase and my vision for the year and my life. And if you haven't tuned in to those episodes or blogs, I also encourage and invite you to do so. So the way I'm going to break this down is basically into what I call my 7 steps to success and share the reflections. And if you haven't heard my 7 steps to success before, and that's also on a previous recent episode, it is spiritual, mental, emotional, playful, relational, physical, and financial. And with a phrase like I'm divinely disciplined, you would think it would be, and my initial thoughts about it when I first received it was going to be a lot about the practical, but I am absolutely finding that it is hitting all the areas of my life. So in January, as I was walking into the year with having spent all of last year focused on I am perfectly present, I felt such a release of any types of depression or anxiety. And I really feel like our creator accelerated so much as I was walking into 2023 and my spirit, mind, body, and soul. And on a spiritual level, as I started to embrace the phrase, I'm divinely disciplined, what I started to really find was one, that I wanted to show up for my future self in ways like I've never have before, to really truly be salt and light, no matter what's happening or no matter what challenges or obstacles or resistance that I'm walking through in my own life. And I also found myself rising up powerfully in mental strength, or like Philippians 4:13 tells us, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I actually carry that around my neck on a dumbbell, and it's a great conversation starter, and on a bracelet on my wrists as well. And the third way that it's been showing up on a spiritual level, which is also really, really, really interesting, is what I'm finding, is in stillness. So you're probably wondering, like, Katrina, what do you mean by that? Because being divinely disciplined, doesn't that mean on a practical level? Not necessarily, because keep in mind, we are human beings. We're not human doings. And I don't know about you, but some of the ways in my past that, I struggled with, is finding in the past, finding my identity in the external and in performance and in status and recognition and all these things. And as, things have shifted and transformed in so many ways, I've, increasingly found my identity in the internal. and in the eternal and not in the external and the temporary. So as I've been, walking through this year already and, with a intention of I'm divinely disciplined, a lot of what's also been happening is being peaceful and content and comfortable with the unknown and being divinely disciplined and being still. Whether that is, in a new friendship, whether that's in a particular, experience in business, whether that's in, an area previously maybe that, I was insecure, and recognizing that my strength is being and becoming and being comfortable and being vulnerable. And in the unknown, and if it's something maybe that I feel like, wait a minute, I'm doing too much here, or maybe I start to feel like, well, maybe I'm giving away too much here and whatever here is, right? Or I'm releasing too much of my power, that I am already stretching myself astronomically. And it's not pulling back from a sense of fear, but pulling back from a sense of strength and choosing stillness to say, wait a minute, I'm not exactly sure here, God, and I'm feeling like you're telling me to be still. And stillness can be strength, is what I'm finding. And my past, and what's really amazing is, I'm finding myself in different situations or circumstances or challenges, personal and professional, where years ago I would have been striving, or years ago I would have, started to react or act out of a sense of insecurity, or out of a sense, of not enoughness. Versus now I'm finding supernaturally that, what? Also, to be divinely disciplined is to be still and to be peaceful and content and overflowing and loving in that space. So those are some of the things that I'm, finding on a spiritual level and realm in the phrase so far this year. So let's shift now to some practical and in the physical. So also years ago, I would allow external things like circumstances or the weather to impact my mood. And, in December, I had some challenging moments or challenging days, and also the weather didn't necessarily help earlier in the month. And then I started to shift and transform, and I said, wait a minute. The weather is no different than an external circumstance that I'm potentially giving away my power. And I started to itch to leave Atlanta again. And I started to itch and started looking at Airbnbs, in Ecuador, in Peru, in Brazil, in Bali. And yes, I could have found, places for 50% off, like I have. Or yes, maybe I could have forced or arranged, a free trip off Workaway or something. And if you haven't checked out my 75 plus tools, do that. But I felt in my spirit that no, be still. There's things coming up for you in January, and you get to be here for your purpose and for things that are coming up and people I want you to meet. And you say you want financial flow and alignment and overflow and freedom. And by you going, that's going to counter the purpose in this moment. That's going to counter the focus. That's going to counter the vision. It's going to self sabotage it. So be still, be here, be divinely disciplined, be a human being. And some of the ways I started to counter that is to stop allowing the weather or any circumstances that are challenging in these moments, whether it's in community and business, in, flow and overflow, whatever it is, and to elevate my energy. And so I signed up for a unlimited pass with Soul Cycle to be in community and be in higher elevated energy on a consistent basis in January. And it astronomically helped. I signed up for a free co-working pass to increase more community. I intentionally aligned with community with ATL Girl Gang. I met an incredible friend. Shout out Olivia. I intentionally aligned with Home Depot and met incredible, beautiful souls. Shout out Andrew and Brett. I intentionally decided I was going to be the sunshine in rooms that I walked in, that I was going to be salt and light no matter what was happening within my own life, to show up for myself, my future self, and others. I was going and chose to be divinely disciplined in those moments. And then I chose to let go of the, ooh, it has to look like I have to get up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. Otherwise, I'm a worthless human being, or I'm not, or I need to hustle, hustle, hustle. No, I chose to decide I was going to be a human being and give myself mercy, love, and grace in the being of being divinely disciplined. And what's amazing is, you guys, in January, I easily and effortlessly started waking up consistently more than ever out of the overflow between 4 and 7 a.m. Excited, anticipating, overflowing into my Sacred Seven morning routine. And definitely, if you haven't listened to that yet, definitely check out my Sacred Seven morning episode earlier this year in 2023. So those are on spiritual and practical levels, how things are hitting my life. Now let's get into the emotional. So in November and or December, I found myself in moments so even though my phrase last year was, I am perfectly present, I'm only human. There were moments in November and December where, things are not or were not yet in the natural in the ways I envisioned them. And the weather and the circumstances and the things, I was allowing them to hit me in different ways. And I said, wait a minute. Instead of distracting myself with this, okay, I can choose to elevate it a bit and watch Hallmark movie networks, movies. Instead of a not so great movie, I can do this. And step by step, I started elevating and choosing higher level emotions of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and gentleness, and self-control with myself too. And if you don't know, that's a scriptural reference from Galatians 5:22. And you guys, my emotions and my internal state have elevated so much in the last 7 years. The choice is the truth is, the journey isn't easy, and I've challenged myself over and over and over again to elevate, but at the same time, there's moments where I just give myself mercy, love, and grace, and to just be. So that's spiritual, physical, emotional, which leads me to mental. I started really, really diving in last year and in the last 7 years, but now, as my phrase is, I'm divinely disciplined, I'm finding myself really paying attention to my thoughts. And are they aligned with who I am, who I want to be, who the creator says I am, and who my future self need is, who my future self is in my mind, who I'm envisioning, and how she thinks, and how am I showing up for her today? So some of the practical ways that I've been, elevating and shifting that is writing, lies of how, I think, or things that are misaligned, and burning those pieces of paper. Some other things were setting on fire prior letters that I had written, in, other situations or circumstances, and releasing all that. Another thing that I do is, the same way I record this podcast, I record my prayers and vision on my phone and listen to them. And actually, as I was walking a little while ago, the Holy Spirit prompted me that I had some old recordings of some vision and legacy that was no longer aligned with what's coming and with some of the prayers and different things. And I was prompted to delete them. So are there old things or old people or old situations or circumstances that you're holding on, or old tangible physical things still in your house that you get to let go? The other ways, and I've recorded some new ones, like a love letter to myself, and recordings and prayers for my future husband, recordings and prayers of things that I'm creating, of my vision, of a legacy letter, writing out a journal to my future husband, I also felt prompted to buy these affirmation cards. And some of the sayings that are in front of me right now, even as I record this, are, for example, I am brave enough to be myself. These cards off Amazon are amazing. They have promptings on them like, how will I describe my authentic self? What brave steps can I take to live more authentically every day? I am worthy of all great things that happen to me. And the promptings on that card are what activities make me feel great about myself. How can I celebrate my accomplishments? And these are purchased from DesiShop.com on Amazon. And no, they are not sponsored, but they are incredible. Another one that I quote unquote not randomly picked up as I was sifting through the box of tons of cards is I'm ready to receive what is meant for me. And immediately when I picked up that card about a week ago, I had chills. It was the first card I drew. Why do I deserve great things? How may I become more open to receiving great things? And then another card that's in front of me, that's been now in front of me for about 2 weeks, is my best is always enough. How much more enjoyable will life be when I realize that my best is enough? Friends, for years, I lived and facilitated between I'm too much, I'm not enough. And also, when I pulled this card, and this has been on my heart now for the last several years, is walking in the strength and power that my best in any moment, your best in any moment, if you're truly giving your best, is enough. And then when you learn and you reflect from a space of enough, guess what? You walk into giving, being able to create more, give more from overflow. What may I do today to begin thinking with this mindset? Just like we would with a little child. And then the other one that's in front of me is I'm exactly where I am supposed to be. How may I show gratitude for where I am today? Now, in this moment, because the miracle is the moment now. We spend so much time giving our power away to the past in fear, shame, guilt, condemnation, regret, lack, or living into the future from a space of anxiety, deep desire of anxiousness or fear or doubt or disbelief, all the same lack emotions, that we miss the miracles in the moment now. Being 100% present in the moment now, feeling fully and unapologetically with our full selves, our full human beingness in this moment now. We miss so much. Like one of the best compliments I've ever received that came up recently is I was out at the Divan restaurant with two of my great friends, Silvana and Mirella, yesterday. And, we had so much joy and laughter like we always do. And if you didn't know, I haven't drank any alcohol for 7+ years. So I jokingly, but not jokingly say is I'm full of the spirit, not the spirit. So I'm full of the spirit, the Holy Spirit, not the spirit, meaning the alcohol spirit, right? And you guys, what's amazing is I laugh more now and I'm fully present now than I ever was any times I drank alcohol, which really honestly came from so many times of feeling not enough, or I needed, liquid courage, or I needed the extra boost to be myself, or whatever the case was, right? Or I wanted to fit in or be like others, or, whatever, right? And our server, Maya, which was amazing, she, and we were like cracking up every time she came, and we were talking about stories and things that have happened since we last connected several weeks ago. And one of the things she said was, it's so, and I'm paraphrasing here, right? Because it was yesterday and I don't remember the exact words, but it's so amazing and so uplifting and inspiring to see, someone like fully living life and fully being and enjoying, life limitlessly. And I was like, wow, that's like one of the best compliments someone can give me, especially simply observing me. And that's my invitation to you to really challenge yourself to start living a limitless life. And, I was on a captivating retreat during the pandemic that Silvana, my friend, gifted me based on the book Captivating, Unveiling a Woman's Soul by Stasi Eldridge. And I've listened to that book over and over and over. And three of the phrases, speaking of affirmations, that divinely downloaded to me that came during one of the experiences in that retreat was, I am a mystical maiden, I am a warrior woman, and I am a limitless Wonder Woman. So you can see how and why so many things have evolved over the last, several years. So we've dove into what the phrase I am divinely disciplined is uncovering and unleashing in me spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally, and then playfully obviously goes into all the things that I just talked about, whether it's been interacting with people, in the moment, whether it's, at, events, whether it's, in fitness, whether it's with people I just met, whether people that I know, whether it's discovering and, new adventures, right? Or taking leaps of faith for future adventures. Like some of the ways that that's come up recently also was in my recent part 6 in the travel series that I talk about, that you can dive into the 75 plus tools and resources. So it's yes, living in the moment, but also fully being in the present to also create for the future in a state of overflow and expectation for what is to come, and living both an adventurous life in the moment and creating and receiving that for the future from a state of overflow, which leads me to then relationally. So on a relational level, that means, I'm being divinely disciplined also means living in, that miracle moment, that the perfect present with family, with friends, with a, future relationship. So some of you may or may not know, and I talk about this throughout my story, like my last relationship was in 2016. Yes, things have come up, in that time frame. Did I anticipate that I was going to be single like, since then? No. But I've used that time to completely embrace me, loving me, and trusting our creator and trusting the process, healing, trusting for a future that is fully redeemed, and trusting like whoever I am going to be in a relationship with, that intention is set to be best friends, purpose and passion partners, with time, with intention towards a mutual alignment, availability, and attraction, and trusting the timing, the divine timing of it all. There's a beautiful scripture that says, in Isaiah, a day is like 1,000 years and 1,000 years is like a day. And then also bringing in, that same sort of spirit and energy with, my existing great friends that I've had for 15, 20 plus years. Shout out to Angela, shout out to Janelle, which is our angel in heaven. Shout out to past friends that are, no longer in my life as of this moment, but who knows on the possibilities of the future. Right? Shout out to new friends like Olivia that tells me she's been binge watching my show. And I will give you a shout out for your, I gave her a shout out recently on an episode for her review. So, it's relationally, then also being the daughter that I would want to see, being the, sister I would want to see. I have a brother, for those of you that don't know, he lives overseas. Being the sister-in-law I would want to see, with my sister-in-law, right? The aunt with my niece and my nephew. The friend, the best friend, all the things. And not taking things personal. One of the most powerful quotes I heard last year, I think it was last year or the year before, like the ability to not take things personal. The ability to release and forgive and realize, you guys, 99% of what people do has nothing to do with us. And if it does, seek clarity and ask, like, where did I, offset this? Where did I shift? What's my part in this? I apologize and I take 100% responsibility. Please forgive me. There is power in asking for forgiveness. So much power. And then speaking of forgiving yourself, One of the most powerful healing activities I did last year. So I read and devoured the book from Stefan Labossiere, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Love After Heartbreak. And really that whole book was an exercise in healing yourself. And some of the activities included, writing or speaking out letters to others. And one of the activities I did was write out and speak out a letter and a love letter to myself. Because the hardest person we usually are is on ourselves. And the deeper we have love and mercy and grace on ourselves, the more we are able to extend that freely to others from a state of overflow, because we recognize our humanness and we recognize our humanness in others more and more and more. And no, I'm not saying it's always easy, especially with those closest to you, whether it's family, your significant others, future significant others, best friends, whatever. But it becomes easier and easier and easier, because no different than running, no different than meditation, no different than prayer, no different than yoga, no different than weightlifting. It's a practice. And that, my friends, is what I'm finding more than ever, that being divinely disciplined is a practice. The state you see Katrina in now, i.e. me, it's from years of practice over and over and over again, really, really starting especially in about 2013 and 14. It's a practice of being and becoming, creating and co-creating. It's not overnight. Transformation takes time. Repeat that again. Transformation takes time. Whether you are walking out things in faith, whether it's in wellness, whether it's in wealth, whether it's a relationship, any of these areas that I'm talking about, it's time. And in our instant microwave society and in our culture, that's on our fingertips, at our phones, whether it's Google, whether it's Instagram, we want things instantaneously. And character, legacy, vision, the things that matter the most take time. And it's in our humility and in our discipline and accepting and allowing and inviting the time that it takes. And I'm a big believer more and more and more that when we allow, accept, invite, and surrender, the time that something takes is exactly the time that it takes. Not more, not less. It's in the perfect time, especially when we don't fight it. Like if it needs to take a year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, whatever, that's what it's going to take. But then if it only needs to take a week or a month or 3 months or a year, that's what it's going to take. But when we start to fight it or try to force, usually what happens is we create more chaos and confusion and things take more time. So I've learned more and more, especially as I'm being and becoming more divinely disciplined, is to allow, to accept, to surrender, to be and do my part, but not to fight, not to force. Unless I'm fighting for something that it is like the next step. And for example, if I know that there's resistance coming at me, like in the takeoff of a plane, and that it's time for me to accelerate my action in certain things with purpose or business, but I am intentionally seeking our creator's guidance with that to co-create, because sometimes it also means being still. Back to what I said earlier. And then last, but definitely not least, and the reason why I left this last is very intentional, because when we get typically the first 6 areas in alignment and flow, the last part becomes easier and easier and easier, is finances. When we are spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, relationally aligned, the finances and the actions and the activities and the community starts to flow like a river, flow like a waterfall, because we are not chasing the paper. We're not chasing the wealth. We're not chasing from a state of lack, doubt, disbelief, and fear of man. We are aligning from a state of overflow. Like Deuteronomy 8:18 tells us, God gives us the power to create wealth. The blessings of the Lord bring wealth, and he brings no trouble to it. Overflow, abundance, more than enough. All the things I've been talking about. creating from a state of overflow, whether it's a podcast, whether it's an online course, whether it's proposing to a brand, like going back to my 75 plus series, or like my episodes on how I'm finding over 500 plus $1,000 in opportunities, but how I've also lost millions, and what I'm learning about myself in the process and different alignments or brands or different things in the state of seeking who I am and who I'm being and who I'm becoming, and embracing the journey. So I hope this episode and the reflections of what I'm learning and being and becoming in my phrase for the year of I am divinely disciplined is encouraging you and inspiring you. And as always, friends, I hope you leave an episode so more people find the show, Create It Like a Boss, and tag me on all the socials at Katrina Julia Fit, at Fit Life Creation. You'll be entered into our Create It Monthly giveaway. And as always, friends, remember, create, transform, and inspire because you are born to. If you are looking for an incredible program on a monthly basis that combines everything you need to create and scale a life and business you love, you are going to love what I created with Subkit on a monthly basis. But first, if you're tuning in for the first time, I want you to know a little bit more about me. And you can find the link in the show notes as well on Subkit and everything you want to know. So, first, I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur, athlete, traveler, creator, and CEO who has transformed every area of life from the inside out since 2010 and continues to, shifting from fear to faith, self-hate to love, corporate to calling, pain to purpose, lies to love, and bondage to freedom. I've worked with 15,000 plus entrepreneurs online and live, traveled the world full-time 2020 through 2022, worked with brands like NBC, Airbnb, WeWork, Victoria's Secret, and aim to help over 1 million mission-based brands and entrepreneurs create and scale what they love with freedom. What does that mean? Imagine you having a clear roadmap and creating and scaling step by step to progress in your life with freedom, with wellness, with marketing, with business, with travel. Everything I walk through, everything that I share, everything that I've leveraged or make money from, I help you create it too. So it all matters, whether it's rising to be and doing one more thing on the hard days or working on projects like NBC Apprentice or Airbnb. It's all big and adds up. So I want to encourage you to hashtag create it now. And what does the program with Subkit look like? First, when you click the link in the show notes, Create It Like a Boss, you will see on the second link the monthly Create It. And one of the betas that I'm running right now is an intro deal on $44 a month, which is basically less than a smoothie bowl or a trip to Starbucks per month. And you will get to create it with exclusive access and discounts, updates on the 75 plus tools every single month. That means all the tools that I'm testing, whether it's something like Subkit or the new tools that I'm 10xing my social media automatically across platforms, new creative creations that I'm beta testing and I want your feedback, an exclusive newsletter for you getting started, and updates to the 7-day online challenge that covers wellness, wealth, business, and travel. If you want a plus experience, you get all of that plus the Create It Summit quarter, every single quarter, that includes over 50 plus courses to take a even deeper dive, plus a vision workshop to really align to your goals from the inside out, updated every single quarter, and a group session with me on a specific theme, from jumpstart to transformation to unleashing inspiration to money matters to smart social media to crazy confidence. So a brand new theme every single month, and you get access to all the replays. Then if you want a VIP experience, you can get all the above plus guaranteed features, lives, and co-launches, one per quarter, and one-on-one sessions that I will do with my VIPs every single month. At the bottom of that page on the Create It Monthly, you will see incredible content as well, like the subkit feature on Get to Know Me, my faith series, freebies, how to find over $500,000 daily in opportunities, global retreats, insights into my almost 2 years of full-time travel, 7 steps to build a presence online, and the Lifestyle Brand Like a Boss course coming in June, and a lot more. So can't wait to see you on the inside, and let's create it. All the chats on faith, wellness, money, marketing, business, and travel, so you create a life and business you already. Head on over to the blog, the podcast, and the freebies to jumpstart your transformation. If you're ready to dive into the online courses, the live events, or the retreat, and if you want to create with our community on an even deeper level, definitely check out our internships, our influencer collaborations, management, and brand engagements. Let's create it.